Hello students and welcome to this first session in the series of these new video sessions that we are releasing from today that will focus on specifically two things. One, how do we assimilate all the learning that has happened throughout the year now? So whatever we have learned in terms of our subject areas, how do we ensure that we do a very good and thorough revision? And two is how do we become more consistent now? It should not happen that let's say today you have done mathematics, so you won't touch your science or your English. Not the way it will work from now till the final exams. So the aim of these sessions now will be to focus around these two things. Our biggest purpose of launching these is that whatever you are doing every day, do that. So let's say if you want to do SST today, if you have done English today, whatever you are revising, you will do that. But these will be very short video sessions, approximately 15 minutes, not beyond that. And that will touch upon question based learning. So let's say if we pick up 5 to 7 questions in the class today in this video session, you will learn different concepts and you will learn how to apply those concepts. So you have to focus on the entire video now, right? So you'll be allotted your time. So you can take your time 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes to solve these questions first and then see how we have solved these questions. So you have to match it together. The purpose is twofold. It's not only looking at the final answers, it's looking at the approach. How do we analyze the question? How do we break it down the question? And how do we apply the concept to arrive at the right answer? So as I repeat, one final point before we kick off to the video based sessions, that please do not skip the videos. Watch it because these are very short, module, bite-sized informations focusing maximum 15 minutes, right? So now, if we look at the concepts, today will be the first session. This will be physics. I'll be picking up mixed set of questions. The first 5, 7 questions will be from different chapters, work and energy, gravitation. It could be from equations of motion, laws of motion, etc., etc. You will pause the video when I say to pause the video. That means when I display the questions now, you will pause the video for 5, 10 minutes. You will solve the questions first in your notebooks and then play the remaining part of the video to watch the solution. At the end of the class, some of you might be asked to share the scanned PDF files as well. So make sure you maintain a new clean register because these video sessions from today till March will be useful in terms of thorough revision, right? That is the entire purpose. So entire revision of your course will now happen on a day-to-day basis along with the live sessions that are already going on. So these are 15 minutes, won't take much time of your day, but make sure to keep it consistent and work on a day-to-day basis. So let's jump on to the questions now. On the screen, you will see the first set of 5 questions, correct? You can pause the video here. You can attempt the questions now. And once you are done, you can play the remaining part of the video. Okay, now over to the questions. You will see the question one by one on the screen. We'll discuss the question one by one. Then let's see now. You are given two stones. That means let's draw the diagram first. How do we analyze the question first? Diagrams are important. Dig down the questions. Two stones thrown vertically upwards. One and two. Now, we have discussed in all the previous sessions, if you are throwing the stone up, if you are throwing any ball up, that means you are giving some initial velocity to that particular stone or the ball. It can't go without that initial velocity. And at the topmost point, our final velocity becomes zero because this is that point where the stone will come back and it will start to fall down. Remember? So let's say this is the topmost point for both of them. Their final velocities will be zero. Now, let's see initial velocities u1 and u2 mentioned for these two respective stones. Prove that the heights reached by them will be in this ratio now. So let's assume h1 to be the first stone height and h2 to be the second stone key height. We are given B, we are given U, we are given H. What else is missing? Think. If this is a gravity question, this is going against the gravity. What will be the value of acceleration due to gravity? Minus g. And the same will be in this case, minus g. Correct? Acceleration due to gravity, both have a negative sign. Vector quantities, they're going against the gravity. If we consider them with the gravity, then we will take the sign plus g and not minus g. Very, very important. Now let's see. Now let's form the equations for the first one. V square is equals to u square. Now, since this is against the gravity, we will use minus 2gh, right? Because g is negative. Now, v is 0 at the topmost point, final velocity is 0. U, initial velocity is given as u1 square minus 2g. And for the first stone, h will be h1. Now, reshuffle 2gh1 becomes u1 whole square. I'm assuming there's no doubt till here, just pure play linear equation solving. Now h1 will become u1 square upon 2g. h1 becomes u1 square upon 2g, correct? That is the height achieved by the first stone. I'm assuming it's clear till here. Now let's see the height of the second stone will again be on the similar lines. Same equation to be applied. It will become u2 square upon 2g. Your height 1 was u1 square upon 2 times g. I'm not putting the values of g as of now. You'll see why I am not putting the values, because we need to find the ratios. Ratios mein g will automatically get cancelled. So why put the values there? Now let's say the ratio h1 upon h2 will be how much? u1 square upon 2g whole divided by u2 square upon 2g. So we are dividing two different rational numbers, a by b upon c by d. Now, what happens? This gets multiplied with the topmost value, the lowest value and the topmost value gets multiplied, rational numbers division, and then the middle two values get multiplied together. What will be the final result? That makes it u1 square into 2g upon u2 square into 2g. Now 2g is a common factor, so we can cancel it out. That leaves us h1 upon h2 with the ratio of their initial velocities ka square. So u1 square upon u2 squares is the ratio of the heights achieved by these two stones. And this is what we had to prove. Clear? I'm assuming there are no doubts in this. So very important question. Everything is in the terms of variables, not in the terms of constant values. Very well. Now let's see the second question on the screen. Body of mass 60 kg running at 3 meters per second jumps onto a trolley of mass given, velocity given in the same direction. So think of the case. A person running towards a trolley and jumping onto that trolley, correct now? And then they move with a common velocity after that. Is a pure play case of collision, if we remember. That means it's a pure play case of the law of conservation of momentum. Newton's third law, remember. So the law of conservation of momentum, which means the initial momentum is equal to the final momentum after collision. Collision क्या है इस case में? That the person, he or she jumps on the trolley. This is the point where the collision is happening. So that means that is a case of law of conservation of momentum. What is the law of conservation of momentum? m1 u1 plus m2 u2 initial momentum, correct, is equals to m1 v1 plus m2 v2 final momentum. Now let's put in the values. m1 mass of the object given 60 kg, speed given initial 3 meters per second, m2 mass given 140, and final velocity, initial velocity of the second object given 1.5. Put in the values. This total value, once we calculate, will give us the initial momentum of the system before collision. So again I repeat, initial momentum of the system before collision. That means m into v. Momentum क्या होता है? Mass into velocity, right? But if we are calculating the initial momentum, we will take the initial velocity. If we calculate the final momentum, we will take the final velocity. As simple as that. Now, the final momentum. If they have a common velocity, that means the person is standing on top of the trolley. That means they both will be moving together. Think. That means they have a common velocity. Now, m1 into v1, 60 times v1. v1 I am assuming इस case में v ले लेते हैं because they have a common velocity, plus 140 times v because both have a same final velocity. That makes it 200v. Correct? 200v is equal to this LHS value, the initial momentum that you have calculated just now. Equate both of them and find the final value of their final velocity. Clear? Simple case, but an application of a good question because they have a common velocity after the collision case. That means the law of conservation of momentum is applied in physics. Now the first target is for all of you to tell me the final velocities on the WhatsApp. Perfect. So we begin with the third question now. Calculate the units of energy consumed by 100-watt electric bulb in 5 hours. Simple case. Applied on a day-to-day basis in your real life. You get the electricity bill every day. This is how your electricity bill is calculated, right? And this is what we have to solve. We're given the power, so write down the power. Power is how much? 100 watts. You are given the time, write down the time, 5 hours. Now you know a very important relation. That power is equals to energy upon time. You can call it energy, you can call it work done, more or less the same thing. Now you have to calculate the units of energy. So energy ka formula will become power into time. Very, very important. Energy is formula. Power into time, just cross multiplying it. Now, if you are asked to calculate units of energy, that means you are asked to calculate kilowatt hour and not joules, right? Because we are asked to calculate the units of energy. That means the commercial unit of energy and not the SI unit of energy. So now let's apply this. Energy is equals to power into time. Power is how much? 100 watts. Now this is in watts, but the commercial unit is in kilowatt hour. That means we have to convert this into kilowatts, divide by 1000. This gets converted into kilowatt. And the time, how much is the time? Time is 5 hours, right? Put in the equations. Now let's say 1 2 zeros, 5 upon 10, that makes it 1 upon 2 kWh, which is kilowatt hours. That means final answer is 0.5 units because 1 kilowatt hour is nothing but 1 commercial unit. तो अगर 1 kilowatt hour is equivalent to 1 unit, that means half kilowatt hour is obviously half unit. That's it, as simple as that. And we arrive at the final answer. Yeah, so break down the question, apply the formula, numericals become way too easy then. A body is thrown up with a kinetic energy of 10 joules. Now you have a body on the ground. Let's say you are throwing it up with an initial kinetic energy of 10 joules. It attains a maximum height of 5 meters. So let's say it's on the ground. It attains a height of 5 meters. Think before even reading the question. Kinetic energy at the topmost point will be how much? 0 joules, because final velocity is 0. Half mv square is the formula of finding kinetic energy. If v is 0, then half mv square will also be 0. That means kinetic energy at the topmost point will be 0. So you know the initial kinetic energy, you know the final kinetic energy. Now if I ask you, what will be the potential energy, for example, at the ground level? Will this be 0 joules? Yes or no? Why? Because potential energy formula is mgh. अगर height 0 है, if h is 0, then mgh becomes 0. That means potential energy, gravitational potential energy at the bottommost point will be 0 joules. Now, we have to find the mass of the body. Think now, is this a clear-cut case of energy? That means law of conservation of energy will be applied. Very, very important hint. If the law of conservation of energy is applied, that means total energy at this point will be equal to total energy at the topmost point. Energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form to the other. The law of conservation of energy. That means total energy of the system at the ground level is how much? 10 plus 0, 10 joules. It will also be 10 joules at the topmost point, where kinetic is already 0. That means mgh here, the potential energy will be equal to this 10 joules at the bottommost level, total energy at this point and at the upper point. So can we now form that total energy at the bottom point is equivalent to the total energy at the topmost point. Total energy at the bottommost point was 10 joules because potential is 0 and kinetic is given to it 10 joules. Now total energy at the topmost point, mgh, will be the potential energy m into g. G is how much? I am taking 10 meter per second square. To round it off, you will take 9.8 meter per second square. Height is how much? 5 meters plus the kinetic energy. Now kinetic at the topmost point we have discussed is 0 joules. So that will be excluded. This is the equation that remains. Total energy at the bottom point is equal to total energy at the topmost point. Solve this. 10 to 10 goes away. Mass is 1 upon 5 kg. That means it is equivalent to 200 grams. That will be the mass of this body that we have thrown up. I'm assuming this is clear. A very different numerical, just a clear-cut application of your kinetic energy and the potential energy. Very well. So, final question of the day. A body of mass 4 kg is taken from a height of 5 meters to a height of 10 meters. Find the increase in potential energy. Now we are only talking about potential energy. That's all we care. So we have a height. This is, let's say, the ground. Ground se upar we have the object. Somewhere here, this is 5 meters. And ground se top pe hum leke, that is the topmost point. That height becomes 10 meters. Correct? So object is here at this point first, and then we have raised it to the second point. Find the increase in potential energy. What will be the potential energy at this point? M into G into its own height, right? What will be the potential energy at this point? M into G into capital height, because the heights are different. Mass is the same. We are using the same object. Acceleration due to gravity will remain the same. Only the heights will differ. Very, very important. Now, how do we calculate the increase in potential energy? Increase kaise nikalte hain kisi quantity ka? The final value minus the initial value, that will give you the increase. That means if I say 10 rupees, say how much is 20 rupees more? So you will do 20 minus 10. So you will say it's an increase of 10 rupees. Same funda applies here. Now let's see. Increase in potential energy becomes your final potential energy minus your initial potential energy. That means final potential energy was mg capital H minus initial becomes mg small h. We can take mg common from both. That leaves us with capital H minus the small h. This leaves us with the equation. Now we can directly put in the values. M is how much? 4 kg. G again I am taking 10. You will take 9.8. Capital H minus H. Capital H is 10 meters. Small height is 5 meters. Put in the values. 4 into 10, 40. 40 into 5, that makes it 200. Now, SI unit. If you're talking about energy, we will say this is joules, correct? That means our increase in potential energy is how much? It is 200 joules. As simple as that. I'm assuming this is also a clear-cut case of the increase in energy, and it's clear as well. So we'll stop here. For the today's session, there are only 5 questions of the day. So as you know now that yes, videos will be short to the point. I hope you like this session. Make sure now to quickly go through this, attempt the questions, look at the solutions, and this has to be done now on a day-to-day basis as and when the videos get uploaded in the evening slots. Till then, we meet again in the next class and the next video sections. Thank you very much for watching.